The Daily Intermission back in studio, episode 56, season 2, off a short and sweet one on Monday. Nate, how we doing, man?
Not too bad. As you can probably tell by my voice, I'm kind of battling a cold here, which is just awful for the middle of the summer. But coming along here and just getting through it. So not too bad.
No, I'm happy to hear, man. So we apologize, I guess, for the short episode there on Monday. But so good news over the weekend. I mean, Cameron Smith, huge win at the Open at St. Andrews. It came down to that back nine with Rory and Cam. As we were recording, we knew that they were in quite the battle. But Cam Young ended up eagling the 18th to come second. But Cameron Smith with the big win in the Open. And now the questions are, does he move to the LIV Tour? And it would make a lot of sense because who is the greatest Australian golfer of all time? Greg Norman. Mm-hmm. And Greg Norman is the commissioner of the LIV Tour. Mm-hmm. So a lot of connections there.
Yeah.
Obviously, they would pay him through the roof. So happy for Cam Smith.
Yeah. I mean, pay him through the roof's an understatement. He'd get a ton right now to get him over there.
I think 90 million was floating around.
That's crazy. But, yeah, I mean, geez. That up and down he had, too.
Yeah, on 17.
The putting one.
Yep.
That was disgusting. So good. So good. Yeah, we'll see what happens with him. I'm not sure if he's going to go or not, but it seems like it's leaning that way. We'll see what happens.
I think all indicators are that he's going to wait till after the President's Cup. Obviously, that's the U.S. takes on the rest of the world outside of Europe, and I know that's a big event for Australians, and I think him and Leishman are waiting. That's the rumors anyway.
Yep.
But we'll wait for that to unfold. So, Nate, just moving into the tennis game, we are in the pregame show. I do apologize. Quarter 1 after the pregame show will be MLB. Quarter 2 of the NHL halftime show. We're going to do a little sports. Would you rather? Quarter 3, we're going to move into the ESPY Awards, which were held last night. Steph Curry hosted. It was good fun there. And then quarter 4, we'll wrap it home with the NFL and a little bit of the NBA news. But staying in the pregame show, Nate, Wimbledon has, been in our quick rear view, and the tennis world continues to heat up as the U.S. Open's just around the corner, and the National Bank Open, which will be held in Toronto. The women's, both Serena and Venus will be going. You got Bianca in the mix. But Novak Djokovic will be unable to play at the U.S. Open, unable to play in Canada, still due to the vaccine rules. So it's unfortunate for those tournaments, but it's still the laws of the countries.
Yeah, it's too bad that's still going on. It seems pretty much irrelevant now too, just with everything going, like even in the NBA and stuff. But yeah, Canada's holding packed, so I guess he's not coming. Shame.
Yeah, it's we'll see what happens. I'm not sure if he would come to Montreal. In Toronto. I think the women's are in Toronto, the men's are in Montreal. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens there with Novak Djokovic, because obviously he's tied with Nadal in wins in majors with 22, and obviously it'd be nice to be in the U.S. Open, because I mean he would definitely be the favorite. Just stated the pregame show, Nate, the UFC announced some major brawls coming up. Peter Yan will be facing off against Sean O'Malley in UFC 280. I mean, Sean O'Malley, most of the listeners will know who that is. He's, a colorful guy. He hangs out with the Nelk boys all the time. He hasn't really had a big fight, but Peter Yan will certainly be his biggest fight that he's ever had. So that's going to be a UFC 280 in Abu Dhabi. They also, Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw on that card. Going to be a huge fight for the belt. Not sure what weight class, one of them. And Nate Diaz is going to be back in the ring. He's taking on an absolute lunatic Russian, Chimaev. And I think that Chimev's going to I think that's a first round. Like, I'm taking a first round submission.
Okay.
Against Nate Diaz in that fight. That guy's he's much more in his prime. It feels like Nate Diaz to me is weathered, has been through the ringer almost.
It's been a minute. It's exciting they have that in Abu Dhabi too. They put on such a show over there.
Yeah.
Remember the one in Dubai? What did they have? Fight Island too?
Yeah, the Fight Island. That's kind of that was their combat to COVID.
Yeah.
So they went over there and was it 10, 15 people watching? But it was awesome that they were able to provide some entertainment during those times.
For sure.
And Paddy Pimblett's going to be fighting on Saturday. So it's a UFC fight night. Curtis Blades is fighting the headliner fight against Lewis, I do believe anyway. But Paddy the Batty is going to be the headline. He's a new character on the scene and is certainly grabbing a lot of attention. So that's going to be the UFC scene this weekend and in the next couple months.
Paddy the Batty is just a social media legend.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Man. He's everywhere.
I think the big
Andrew Tate.
Yeah, oh geez, that guy shows up everywhere. But Paddy the Baddy, I mean, he's a guy, he's famous for, he throws on like 30, 40 pounds after each fight, just eats whatever he wants. I mean, that makes for a long camp
Oh my God.
coming into your next fight.
For sure. That cutting process must be just absolutely horrid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we talked about it with Sam Alvey. It's,
It is a grind.
It's a grind.
It's a battle.
Moving into quarter one, the MLB was All-Star Weekend this weekend in Los Angeles, and I think overall it was a success. I apologize. The AL won its 9th straight game. The game to me was a little boring. There was like 6 straight innings where the NL didn't get a hit. I liked how the legends were involved this year. You bring in Miguel Cabrera, you bring in Albert Pujols. They honored, obviously, Jackie Robinson's wife's 100th birthday, Rachel, so that was really nice. And the home run derby, it's always a great time. Juan Soto wins the home run derby. But I thought, all in all, it was really well, but I still think that there's more to do.
For sure. I find it's so hard, I feel like, for any sports league to get like a competitive actual all-star game going, like within anything, it's like hockey struggles, like the NBA's not terrible. The MLB one, do they still do for the MLB? Do they still do whatever league wins it, they get home for the World Series, or is that done now?
I think that's done.
Yeah.
I think that's done.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if that's still a thing or not, but that was years ago, I think, even. But I always thought that was a weird kind of thing, you know what I mean? Like, say the Yankees come in this year, absolutely blow everything out of the water, get 115 wins, and then they get to the World Series, and it's like, and we're starting in Oakland.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that'd be the AL still though.
Yeah. Well, that's just a
for sure
example, but
no, I agree. It's I enjoyed that everyone was mic'd up. It was tremendous in that sense. I mean, Alek Manoah, I mean, obviously we get our fair share of Alek Manoah content up here in Canada, but he was electric, calling strikeouts punchies, and he went up and knocked 3 guys straight in a row, 3 punchies he was going on about, but no, it was good fun. But Nate, in terms of the home run derby, it's the big event, takes up the majority of that first day. I think that there's an opportunity here to maybe shorten it, make the round shorter, maybe not have those 4 minutes for each home running hitting contest through the 4 rounds or 3 rounds, and maybe throw in some other events.
Yeah, it's a lot of swinging for those guys for sure.
Oh my goodness,
just absolutely ripping balls. I mean, Juan Soto's just pulling the walk off every time, getting up there. But yeah, there could be some opportunity for some other events, like you were mentioned earlier. What, hardest pitch?
Yeah,
I just don't know how that would Imagine the owners having that. It's like, all right, let's go slug your arm out when they're already pretty worried about it. It would be a sick event, though.
Yeah, I think
unreal.
I think if you got warmed up in the bullpen, like you were going out to throw an inning, and especially it would mostly be closers, I would suspect, and relief pitchers.
Yeah.
Get warmed up, and then you throw 5 pitches.
Yeah.
5 fastballs as hard as you can down the middle. Obviously there is risk of injury, but it's like, if the guy's taking a hardest shot in the NHL, it's like, yeah, he could slip and fall, but
yeah, I guess.
But no, I mean, I think that there's other ways to provide entertainment, and you don't want to have, I mean, that's your marquee event, obviously the home run derby, but I think there's room for growth there, and I think there's room to entertain. I'm not sure about the game. Like, I don't know if there should be adjustments to the game. Like, we see 162 of them from each team all season long. Like, is there a way that we can make that a 2-day celebration, and highlight these all-stars in different ways? But you know what? That's for them to figure out. But I thought, all in all, it was a really good, it was a well done job, and it marks the halfway point in the MLB season. And so, speaking of Juan Soto, after he won the home run derby, I mean, we know that he declined his $440 million deal over 15 years. And I mean, the trade speculation has began, and a lot of people wondering where this guy's going to go. And I know the Blue Jays would definitely be able to put together a package for Juan Soto. It's just a matter of, would they be willing to give up a guy like Bo Bichette, a couple young prospects.
That's the thing. The package is going to be absolutely massive.
Yep.
So it's going to be hard to see what someone would want to put up for him. What was it? I was listening to Sportsnet, and they said something about like it would take pretty much every prospect in the farm to get him. But I mean, I feel like if you're the Jays, you're kind of in that position to do that kind of right now.
Absolutely.
They are at this moment. So it's like,
well, you look, I mean, you've got, a few more years of Vladdy and Bo Bichette before you got to pay them.
Yeah.
And right now, I mean, it just seems like we talk about it all the time, that American League East, when you're ready to go, you're ready to go. And it seems like this is a window right now for the Blue Jays to go all in. It's just a matter of, can you put together the package, 1, and 2, is it going to make you that much better? And obviously Juan Soto is an immaculate superstar, and I think he's under contract for 2 more seasons, so you wouldn't have to pay him until the 3rd. But no, it's going to be interesting to see. It's whatever team acquires Juan Soto is certainly going to be in better shape than they were before.
For sure. The Yanks will be in the mix.
Yep, absolutely. I got a feeling the Astros might be as well.
Yeah, that's right.
And
don't count out the Dodgers.
No, exactly. I think the Dodgers are they're pretty hefty right now in terms of their payroll and what they're looking at. I mean, I think
they're the highest in the league.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think like 20 million over the Yanks.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens there. Chris Sale on the 8. I mean, this guy, I was so hyped as a Red Sox fan for his return, and then gets a comebacker, breaks his hand. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. This guy can't catch a break.
Yeah, it's had some tough luck.
So the Red Sox will be without Chris Sale for the foreseeable future. And as well, the Red Sox right now are coming out, and they're not making any imminent moves on trying to sign Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers long term. And this is an ownership group. I mean, Fenway, you think about Fenway, it fills up every single game. I mean, this is a team that has boatloads of money. And with this new ownership, like you let Mookie Betts go. If you let both of these guys go, that place is going to be absolutely, they're going to lose their minds in Boston.
For sure. I mean, even I remember back when Mookie went, it was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
It's like, this team is not short on cash. And it's like, you look back in like the early 2000s when it was like the Ortiz, Ramirez, like just absolute studs.
Oh, yeah.
And they were paying them out the wheels. And now it's just like, it seems like it's just like they're going to go.
I know. It's crazy. I mean, I think back to those teams, man. So exciting. Dustin Pedroia, Kevin Youkilis. I mean, Man Ram, you said. I mean, you look at the pitching, Kurt Schilling, Pedro Martinez, Josh Beckett. I mean, these guys were sick.
Well, what was it? They went out and got just to negotiate with Dice K back then.
Yeah.
It was like $50 million just to talk to the guy or something outrageous.
The Gyru ball. Yeah, that guy was such a bust.
Didn't quite live up to the hype.
No, that's a good list that we should go through. One of these halftime shows is the top 10 busts in sports. For Ryan Leaf comes to mind. Any other busts come to mind when you're talking about sports busts?
Patrick Stefan.
Yeah.
First overall. He was a bomb. I mean, now Yakupov.
Yo, huge
He's an
bust.
absolute bust.
Yeah.
What was the guy that played for the Senators? I can't remember his name. He was like 93 first overall, and he was supposed to be sick. Alexei Yashin, too.
Yeah, he had some salt. Like, he wasn't a complete bust.
Yeah.
Like, I'm thinking guys who, like, barely made it in the league.
Yeah.
Like, Ryan Leaf first overall over Peyton Manning, I do believe.
Right.
And didn't, like, played, like, a year or two.
That's so crazy.
And was awful.
It's so brutal for those guys, too. They come in so hyped, and then it's just, like, forever. It's just, like, everything you see is just a bust ever, like, the biggest bust ever. Who was the guy that missed the down first base?
Billy Buckner?
Yeah, Buckner.
Yeah.
Like that poor guy, man. Try to go on to TSN, watch Sports Center. That's in like top 10 every week.
Yeah, that guy, I don't think he can. Actually, I wonder what his relationship is with the restaurants and fans in Boston, like the business owners. I wonder if he can go. I mean, who knows? I think people are probably over it now because the Red Sox have had a great couple decades.
Yeah.
But obviously before that, the curse of the Bambino and him letting one dribble through his legs wasn't a fantastic look. But that's going to conclude quarter one MLB talk. We're going to move into quarter two in the NHL. And the biggest news in the NHL right now, and it's dominant in the NHL, is, there is bigger news outside in the hockey world, but right now in the NHL is the fact that Johnny Hockey has gone to Columbus, and now Matthew Tkachuk has announced that he will not be signing long-term in Calgary, and that he will be testing the open market. So it's pretty much Calgary trade me, or I'll leave in after next year.
Yeah, for sure. And, we kind of called this. It was a few weeks ago when we said, it's like, if Gaudreau leaves, like, is Kachuk's going to go? And at that point, I thought he was still under contract for a year. I was unaware he was an RFA. But, yeah, I mean, understandably so from him. It's like, what is Calgary going to look like next year? They losing Gaudreau, 115-point player, and then, you're going to lose Kachuk as well, 104. I mean, this is your two guys, and they may as well, I don't know, maybe rebuild. It's going to be crazy.
Pretty smart business decision, in my opinion, by Matthew Tkachuk. I mean, you look, he's playing on a line with Lindholm and Gaudreau. Gaudreau has 115 points. I mean, obviously, like you said, Tkachuk has 104. What happens next year? Who's he playing with? What's his season look like?
Exactly.
How does that hurt his sign and his long-term deal? So it's like, listen, I'm out of here. It's tough. That's really, really tough for Calgary Flames fans. I mean, you got two guys over the 100-point mark, and they're both asking to leave. I mean, this is a team that when you've got a guy like Markstrom in nets and a guy like Daryl Sutter behind the bench, it's pretty much a kind of a win right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Mentality.
For sure. I mean, Markstrom obviously didn't have a terrific end of season anyway, but
no.
Yeah, we'll see. It's funny when I see all the teams that are like, where should Matthew Tkachuk go? And I always see Vegas. And I'm like, how in God's name is that going to work?
No.
Like, what do they trade, Eichel? Like, they got to move a ton of cap space if that's the case, because he's going to be looking for a pretty penny here.
I'm thinking it's going to be St. Louis.
Yeah, go home.
Go home.
Yeah.
That's kind of the rumors that I'm feeling out. But
Apparently they offered Kyrou, Torrey Krug in a first for him, and then Calgary declined it.
wow,
Yeah.
really?
That's what I saw.
Holy smokes!
So,
I would have hopped all over that.
yeah. I mean,
Jeez,
maybe
because-
they're expecting maybe they can get a bigger package, but I feel like the longer he holds off, or like the longer they hold off, that it's only going to go downward. I wouldn't think it's going to go up.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's going to be like I would, if I were Calgary, like I would be fielding offers from a lot of teams, and obviously to the highest bidder. But like I always say that when people these superstars request trades, I'm just like, why aren't they just holding out for the highest bidder? But it never goes that way. It always seems like they go to the team that they request to go to, which is very odd because obviously it's not great for the organization shipping them out. But anyway. It is what it is, and obviously we're feeling for Calgary fans because, man, that fan base is electric. I mean, they do need to update the arena, but I thought all in all, like all I hear is terrible things about the Saddle Dome. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time there.
Yeah, I like that rink a lot. Yeah. I like it. It's
a lot of character.
Good spot. Yeah, good character. Nice wide. You get a Zamboni through up there, as we talked about prior.
On the concourse.
Yeah, so it's pretty solid spot. But yeah, we'll see what happens with them. I'm not entirely sure what route they're going to take here, but I mean, even looking last year, you're like, man, these guys have a chance to win it all. And, they kind of got absolutely worked by Edmonton, and this is where they're at now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely tough times in Calgary. Nate, I did want to mention some notable free agents that haven't been signed yet. Nazem Kadri, Phil Phil Kessel, Nino Niederreiter actually just signed a couple hours ago.
Nashville.
Evan Rodriguez, a guy who kind of really stormed onto the scene this year, shot on goal machine.
Yes.
Sonny Milano.
I was surprised Anaheim didn't keep Milano. Played well with Zegras.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes. I mean, he's still young, isn't he? 26, 25?
Yeah, he's. I think he was a 2013, maybe a 2014. So if anybody can punch the numbers quicker than I can, yeah, I'd say he's probably 27.
Yeah.
Like that.
John Klingberg, obviously PK Subban. There's some names still out on the market. So, if your team's been quiet, a.k.a. the Boston Bruins, there's still some guys out there you can fill your roster with. I'm still been asking around. Nobody really knows much about this Pavel Zacha guy. Obviously, we talked about how he was 7th overall, but in terms of his game, I never watched the New Jersey Devils, and when I do, they always beat the Bruins. Yeah. And it's always Miles Wood. We've talked about it a million different times, but anyway, I'm hoping that he brings a little bit more to the table than Eric Holla, but we'll see.
Yeah, I remember just in the World Juniors, he was great. Zacha, okay. But then once, like New Jersey, he's kind of just like the guy out there that you didn't notice him. He was just kind of there. He was on the team. He held out 1 year for more money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind that.
And but I mean, like the guy had nothing to even bargain with.
Yeah.
Like he was holding back, and they were like, "Well, dude, you can."
Dude, he had 32 points last year.
Exactly. It's like, what are you holding out for? Like, what are you expecting to get?
For sure.
So I don't know. He could have a resurgence in Boston. We'll see what happens.
Definitely. It'll be interesting to see. I guess he plays the wing and center. All right, Nate, this is the big one going on in the hockey world right now, and obviously we've got to touch on it because this is our job to present sports and sports news to people. But the Hockey Canada situation right now. So obviously in 2018, the World Junior team, they were celebrating an event in London, Ontario. Then they were in a hotel, and there was a situation that went on in that hotel room, and now that there's a list of names that were involved in some acts, and we're not going to get too far into it. But I do want to say, what does this look like? Okay, so let's break down the Hockey Canada side of things. So Hockey Canada ended up paying off. So the London police did an investigation. They settled at $3.5 million. Hockey Canada had a slush fund of $15 million, which is used for these types of situations where there's a lawsuit and something needs to be paid off or something needs to be settled. This money comes from youth hockey, from Timbit's son, all the way up. Hockey Canada sanctioned events put money into this fund. I mean, it's a fairly corrupt organization just as a whole.
As it all comes out now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known any of this prior to this, right?
No, well, exactly. So, I mean, you got the Prime Minister commenting on it. You got Tim Hortons and Scotiabank suspending their relationships with Hockey Canada. I mean, obviously it's an awful situation all around. I mean, you hate and the NHL is going to come down hard on the individuals that were involved in these situations because one, you've got to set precedents. Two, you've got to make an example. And three, there's just been so much
coverage,
so much negative light, even on the NHL and the hockey culture in the past couple seasons. I mean, whether it's the racism, whether it's the treatment of players by management, the predator like actions that we saw with Kyle Beach, and then now the rape culture that's surrounding the NHL right now. I mean, you've got to set precedents with the situation. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all unfolds. And I know this is not going anywhere, and we're about to hear a lot about it here in the next few weeks.
I think there's a lot more to come out here pretty soon too. Yep. Some stuff's going to leak from court or something. It's going to be, I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's going to be wild.
Oh man, yeah, you've got to feel for obviously all of the people involved, but I hope that this drives some change in the Hockey Canada organization, and I hope that that it's better moving forward. I mean, you think about all the kids that play hockey in Canada, and think about the sacrifices that our parents made to put us in hockey, and year after year after year, and then knowing that this organization is spending it in these ways is pretty tough.
Yeah, it's definitely eye-opening for sure.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, Eddie Olczyk, Nate, absolute legend, is moving on from Chicago. Was a Chicago play-by-play guy. He's going to move to Seattle. Love Eddie Olczyk. Loves his horses. Obviously, I'll know him from the NHL video games, but I think he's an absolute legend in the game. Played a long time for Chicago.
Yep. Pittsburgh too.
Yep.
Yeah. I was surprised to see him moving on. That Seattle must have thrown him the bag. Because he is just a diehard Chicago guy in Pittsburgh. Like whenever he's calling the national games, like he's clearly favoring these squads. He played for them and stuff. Yep. So I'm surprised to see him step away from them. But
for sure,
it might have great for Seattle.
Remember their owner Rocky at the town hall?
Yes.
And Eddie Olczyk was sitting there and going, "What is?"
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true.
And plus, too, I mean, you think about the futures of these two teams. I mean, I guess I don't know how far behind Chicago is from Seattle, but Seattle's going to be a fun and exciting team here.
Pretty quick.
3-4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some serious talent there, and it's going to be a fun team to grow with and watch. Serious fan base there as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for that team to kind of come along and be relevant, and excited to see what this Beniers kid has and Shane Wright. So
he looked great last year. He went on a little point streak there when they called him up at the end.
Yeah.
And then Shane Wright falling to them. They couldn't have asked for a better.
Oh geez.
They potentially would have taken him first overall had they picked there. I think.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
So for him to fall to 4 for them is just gift wrapped.
Absolutely. But the offseason's been hot, man, in the NHL, and we'll continue to follow it, and that will conclude quarter 2 of the Daily Intermission podcast. Now we're moving into the halftime show, and it's a Would You Rather segment. So we're going to break this down back and forth. We'll dissect these Would You Rather questions. So these are kind of headline narratives in the sports world, and we are going to break down Would You Rather situations within sports.
Yes, we are. Do you want me to start things off?
Yeah, have me one.
Okay. Would you rather, and this is if you're a Calgary Flames fan, have them fully rebuild now or try to get players who can play right now for Tkachuk? Just try to keep the window going or just completely call it in and rebuild?
Okay. So, for example, go sign Nazem Kadri. Bring in a guy like Klingberg.
Yeah, or try to move Tkachuk for and not just say first round, a couple first round picks, like future considerations kind of thing. So so try to keep the horse going or rebuild it completely.
Yeah, I think it's a complete rebuild, in my opinion. I mean, you look across the league, and if you take the top 2 players off your team, you're just not going to be. You're not going to be in this situation. I mean, you look at this as a team that lost in the second round. It's going to be in a division which a team like the LA Kings are getting much better. Edmonton's not going anywhere. As I expect Vegas to have a very strong season. I mean, this is a team that's going to probably struggle in the division the way they are now. I would. It's challenging with Markstrom, with a very good goaltender and a coach that's known to have a window. He's similar to that John Tortorella that really hard on the guys. Has a 3-4 year window where the voice is going to work, and then that's about it for him. So. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's time to kind of take a step back, regress, and make some moves. I mean, I think that's a route I would go in. How about you, Nate?
Yeah, I'd go rebuild as well. I mean, you look at this team after losing Gaudreau and Tkachuk. I mean, Monahan's absolutely irrelevant now.
Yep.
Lindholm had a terrific year. I like him a lot. He's great. Hanifin, the back end's not horrible, but you just don't have the pieces now to be able to compete. So it's almost to the point where it's we may as well just sell off and just start over.
Yeah.
Because, if you don't have Gaudreau, that was kind of your selling point for anybody to come to. So it's I don't know.
Gosh, that's just 2 guys you drafted, 2 guys you farmed.
Yes.
Oh, man, it could be worrisome, if you're a manager, GM in the Canadian market and, wink, wink, Toronto, and you're watching these American guys, get out as soon as possible. I guess Toronto's a little different because it's kind of the mecca in the entire NHL. But yeah, it's challenging. And I mean, even for Calgary and Edmonton, I mean, you think about Edmonton, brand new arena. You know, every event that's hosted in that Alberta region is going to Edmonton now due to the state-of-the-art arena. And now you've got... Yeah, just those Western Canadian markets. I mean, you know, as a player, you got to put yourself in those shoes. Like, I think I would rather be in Vancouver. You know, that's such a beautiful city. Mm-hmm. You know, you're a little bit more out west in that Pacific time zone. And anyway, it's definitely challenging times at Calgary, but I think it's time to blow it up, man. When you lose your two top guns and. But
even if you, like you said, you bring in Kadri, I don't think it's like going to make enough of a difference.
No, gosh, no. So. No, we just watched Kadri be like the fourth best player on his team this year.
Yeah.
And they won the cup, obviously, but like, you know, you can't have him be your top gun.
No. Yeah. And who's to say he replicates this career season too in his contract year? So
exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in old Saddle Domeville.
Definitely. All right, Nate, if you are the city of Toronto, you're a fan in Toronto, would you rather the Blue Jays acquire Juan Soto or the Toronto Raptors acquire Kevin Durant?
I feel like right at this given moment, definitely Juan Soto. I feel like the Jays are a little closer. The thing is too, like Kevin Durant, like, you know, like, I mean, this guy, they had it all in Brooklyn, and you know, this year goes sour, and then I feel like he would come to Toronto and it'd be like a year thing, and he'd be like, I want out of here. Whereas like Soto, you can stack up now, have a real legitimate chance, and I feel like the Blue Jays, as I said, was just a little bit closer than the Raptors are, obviously. So I would take the Soto over Durant, I think. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm on the same kind of same path as you, same wavelength. I think that Toronto, the Blue Jays are like a more ready roster to win a championship. But any team with Kevin Durant, man, it's just like
it would be electric for the city.
Man, he's just
auto sellout.
Like oh my gosh, he had obviously a terrible series against the Celtics and they got swept. But I mean, like he's still the most prolific scorer in the NBA. And when healthy, I mean, you could make an argument he's the top 3 player, and I don't think it's a tough argument to make. I mean, we're talking about a mega star, and I mean, we're talking bigger than Kawhi Leonard.
Yes, for sure.
So it's interesting. I think I think you said it right though, Nate. I mean, the Blue Jays are a team that's more ready to win, and it's going to be this season. I mean, we looked and we talked to Russell Dorsey, for example, the MLB insider for Bally Sports, and he talked about how the Blue Jays were a really exciting team, and a lot of MLB insiders before the season had the Blue Jays winning the World Series.
Yeah.
So. You know, this is a team that's probably the most ready, and Juan Soto should. But I mean, what are the chances that Mark Shapiro or flip it over to Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri? What are the chances that these guys make a run at these guys?
Well, what was it for the Durant? They said it has to be Scotty Barnes inclusive.
Yeah,
which I'm not sure they're like willing to do. Are they? Like they kind of want to hold on to Scotty, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe they do take a run at him. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but I just feel like Soto's more of a sure bet than getting Durant for me.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's more likely.
Yeah.
I just don't know. The KD thing just seems so like a little far-fetched to me for him to come to Toronto. I don't know why it is, but maybe it's because you just hear about every time anybody is looking for a trade, it's always just
Toronto.
You know, Canada media. It's like he's coming to the Raptors. And it's like, well, I don't think, but we'll see what happens. But I'm going to say Soto.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, Greg, if you're LeBron James, at the start of next season, do you want Russell Westbrook in the starting lineup or not?
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so these 3 apparently had a phone call, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, and LeBron, saying that they're ready to run it. But, I mean, okay, we've got to give Russell Westbrook a little bit of defense because, I mean, we look at Anthony Davis, what he played like 30 games last year,
yeah.
LeBron like 50-some, and then...
Russell kind of took the load.
Oh, he's the whipping boy.
He absolutely got the bad end of the stick.
Played 79 games or something, and then just, everyone, he is the whipping boy, but obviously he's there to be the number 3 guy, which at times he was expected to be the number 1. I don't think he's got that in him, but I mean, you know what, Nate? I'm going to say if you're LeBron, you don't want him.
Yeah.
I think with that cap space, you're going to bring in guys like Buddy Hield, bring in other guys, from around the league, more depth pieces, which we see, become a little bit more important, like that 8-9 man rotation come the playoffs. I mean, those three superstars will get you a long ways, but I'm not sure if they can get you a championship. I mean, a healthy Anthony Davis, LeBron James, we saw that is enough to get you a championship, but Russ, it didn't look great last season at times. So I'm going to say if you're LeBron, you don't want him. But I don't know. Apparently he did a year ago. So
I mean, yeah, I know. It seems like he wanted them a year ago. At some point, he didn't want them, and now they've had this phone call, and they're all fully on the same page, which could change 5 games into the season.
And who out of that phone call reached out to someone in the... This is where I don't get these storylines that come out sometimes, Nate. It's
like Shams listening in on the call. Like,
exactly.
Was he the fourth guy?
Yeah.
How legitimate is this source?
Yes.
What is the...
Like LeBron called Woj right after the phone calls. Listen, we just had a phone call. We're running it back.
Although he may do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That honestly wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I know.
But, I don't know. It's it's outrageous is what it is. I have no clue what's going on there. I thought it was for sure like Westbrook Gonzo.
Yep.
And now it's like, is he staying? Like, it's outrageous.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see for sure. Gosh, the NBA is going to... The offseason is just always so electric. All right, Nate, moving to the MLB. Would you rather the MLB's skill competition to be solely the home run derby or for them to add some incremental events to include more than just 8 home run hitters?
Yeah, I mean... At this point, they may as well just add some more stuff, like even with everything with, like, obviously baseball's trending downward attendance-wise, like viewership-wise. You may as well add in a few, like, just hilarious things. Like, let's get some Mario Super Slugger stuff going on, Guys are swinging blindfolded or something, Like, get some hilarious events.
Even just the fastest around the bases.
Yeah, I mean, that would be cool, too.
Like, who's the fastest guy in the league? Like, just crown accolades,
Best diving catch?
Best diving catch.
Yeah. Like, you start off,
sick.
The guys just hit it over like a little blooper and then just see what you can do. Like,
yeah.
You can land it.
Exactly.
But, like, as I said before, I could see the owners just, like, watching. It's like, all right, so he's doing a diving catch, and what's he going to try and pull out? It's like, you just see a guy rip an ACL. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
What have we done?
For sure.
No, I think you may as well bring in some more stuff. Try to get, like, the younger generation more involved with it. Because, it's just... I love watching the home run derby.
Oh, absolutely.
And I am fine with it being just that, but it would also be cool to see some other stuff. Like, just throw it in for shits and giggles. Like, let's see the bases running. Let's see the diving catch. Let's see who can hang over the boards or over the dugout, and who can fly into the dugout at the fastest pace. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that one's obviously never going to happen. But
yeah. No, I think there's some cool ideas that you could float around and make it a little bit more captivating for the audience, make it more of a spectacle than just 8 guys ripping dingers, which, like you said, is an amazing event.
Yes.
But, I mean, maybe cut it down in time. One guy, Nate, I didn't mention it in quarter 1, but Pete Alonso, man, this guy put on the milkiest performance I've ever seen, man. It looked like it was the World Series he was gaming up for, man. He was so dialed in. He was walking around the clubhouse like he owned the place. He comes out, wins round 1, and then, excuse me, then loses round 2. I was loving that he lost. I mean, he was going to be the first player ever to win 3 home run derbies in a row, which I get is an amazing feat. But, man, I just thought this guy, like the way he was, he looked like he was having no fun. It was completely dialed in, didn't have a smile on his face.
Just absolutely dialed in for the 3-peat.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Juan Soto was having a good time out there.
Oh, my goodness, man.
Just bat flipping, chucking everything.
The Dominican boys put on a show, man. They love each other, too. Like, Pappy's out there running around. I mean, you got Vladdy Guerrero Jr. bringing Gatorades over to the guys. I mean, it's awesome.
Well, they also had, like, the Dominican guys had that, or maybe the MLB did it either way. They had that Bad Bunny guy up there.
Yeah, he came out with the trophy.
I had never even heard of this guy.
Neither have I.
But then I started listening to that Cardi B song. I like it. And he's on there. He goes to the part where he does, like, all the Dominican rapping.
Okay.
And he's like apparently just like a stud. He's got 41 million Instagram followers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's just like the pride of music in Dominican Republic.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was there.
Think about those guys. I'm just so sidetracked in this halftime show, but think about the guys in the Dominican Republic. I mean, you've been and or you've been to Cuba, Nate, or Dominican?
Yeah, I've been to both.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you just think about those nations,
God.
and then you go over there with 100 million or like whatever. Like,
by the island,
man, it like
Cuba, especially.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, no disrespect.
No,
these are a dump.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely just they're underdeveloped.
Underdeveloped.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you would be. Yeah, it's tremendous what these
The
guys.
average Joe goes down there is a legit millionaire.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So like these guys coming down here that are legit like 3-digit millionaires, and it's like, holy smokes, fellas.
Oh man.
Just imagine walking in there. You'd be like, oh my God, there he is.
Dude, the way they
There is
drive
David
down
Ortiz.
there too, man.
Oh.
Dude, the way they drive in Dominican Republic, they could make a documentary on it, man. I thought I was gonna die probably 10 times.
Dude, when I was in Cuba, we took out mopeds going down the highway. Mine like maxed at 70, so I had lost everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm looking over. I've got cabs in between me. Like I'm
Cattle.
like I'm in the middle. Like the ocean's right there. I'm in the middle of like I've got a bus, a cab, another guy, and like this, I'm completely boxed in, and I'm just like on this like moped going, and I'm like this is the most unpredictable thing I've ever been a part of. And I was like, I'm getting run off the road. No way I make it through this. Anyway,
The darkest moment of my life, I think personally, was on my way out of the resort to the airport, probably a 45-minute drive through the Dominican Republic. Full-on anxiety attack the entire time.
Yeah.
And this guy's swerving, honking, beep. Like just,
Yeah,
it was like,
it's
it was
chaos.
me hugged onto the van, like just grabbing against the handle.
Just waiting to get to the airport.
Exactly.
To feel a little safer.
And then dogs rolling around the air. Anyway, it was.
Yeah, it's oh man, that airport too.
Oh,
Oh my God. It's a community center.
oh man.
It's absolutely hilarious.
It's
over
so small. Anyway, gosh, that was a little offside or a little off topic. But Nate,
We'll get into my third one here.
let's go to your third one.
Okay, so Greg, would you rather the Cleveland Browns completely write off their season this year, go
Yep.
for a pick, or, do they go and make a trade, try to get a quarterback, and be semi-competitive this season?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So Deshaun Watson, obviously, I think it's going to be a year suspension. We'll get it to a quarter four. So like, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to play. Yeah. So like, do you go after a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo? Do you go after a readily available quarterback, or do you just say, I think Jacoby Brissett's there. I'm not sure. So I think Baker Mayfield the last he was like 6 wins, 11 wins, 6 wins. Listen to Marcellus Wiley from F1 talk about it a little bit, but I think, Nate, you've got such a great team there is the issue.
Tough to just blow it up.
You can't blow it up. The thing about the NFL though, it's just such a year-to-year basis, and
Yes.
like you could be really good. What happens to Myles Garrett at the end of the season? What happens to your backfield? Nick Chubb's obviously right in his prime. You got Kareem Hunt, who is in his prime as well, in their backfield. I mean, yeah, I think that you've got to try to find a quarterback and try to make the most with your roster, and obviously you've got Deshaun Watson for the foreseeable future, and he can do a lot. He can bring a lot. A team with little to no talent to the playoffs. So yeah, I think you've got to find a quarterback, Nate, to try to bring it in and to win games. I honestly just stuttered on so many words there. So, but Nate, my final one here, man. You're the major championships of golf. You're the PGA. You're not the PGA. You're the U.S. Open. You're the Open. You're the Masters Committee. All these committees, and you have to decide whether would you rather have the Live Tour guys in all of these events throughout the season, or would you not?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I feel like they've got to make a move with the PGA, kind of collaborate and just be like, listen, we can't have these guys, or else it's just going to keep continuing like this, and the PGA is not going to have anybody. Like, I feel like it's kind of up to the PGA to kind of like step up, maybe set up some sort of like, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but like some sort of like contract where it's like, listen, you can't come just like go to this tour and then just come back and play all the majors.
Yeah,
Because I mean, the PGA's, they're going to be completely screwed pretty soon.
100%.
It keeps up like this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've got to make a move. And honestly, I think they might have waited too long already.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be so many guys over there. And I mean, I think that's the move you got to make. You can't just let them continue to play.
Yeah.
It's just,
If they get Cam Smith, that's going to be the biggest one yet, for sure, for me. This is
Yeah.
the guy that, I mean, I think DJ's 16th in the world, and he's the highest ranked guy they've got right now.
yeah.
And
Smith comes in at what, 6th?
yeah, second right now.
Oh, he's second now.
Yeah, after the win, yeah.
Right.
So
Jeez.
second in the world rankings. I mean, you get the number 2 player in the world over there. Now we've got some issues.
What happens with the world rankings for like DJs? He's still included in those? Or
So this is interesting, Nate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Live Tour right now doesn't have access to those world rankings.
Right.
So if you don't have exemption, like DJ would because he's won majors, like Patrick Reed would because he's won the Masters, like these other, like Brooks Koepka would because he's won majors.
Yep.
If you don't have exemption, a guy like Taylor Gooch, he may not be accumulating points over there because world golf ranking points get you into majors.
Right.
So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in the golf world. I don't think we've ever seen any sport in this type of, I mean, in my lifetime. Yeah, this type, of just situation.
This is some Danbury Trasher stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
From the NHL.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
There was also a league when the NHL went into lockout. They tried to
The WHA?
It might have been that or maybe something like a little different, but it was the same kind of concept as like back when that was like the 70s into the 80s.
Yeah.
But yeah, they tried to like formulate a league and just like take out the NHL when the lockout was going on. So, I mean, that's the closest I can think of. Like, obviously the NFL's never had a comparison.
No.
The NBA hasn't been close.
No.
I mean, no one's rushing to the Russian hockey league. That's for true.
It's just really unique in the golf world because it's just like you could do it in you could do it in the individual sports because they're independent contractors. Like you could do it in tennis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could do it in these individual sports where they're independent.
It's a lot tougher to get a team together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you're not going to get a league of
well, imagine just some like
the NFL. It's like,
some football league starting up in like China and they're like, oh, we're going to pay you guys out the ass. And it's like, all right, well, like, what does this even look like? You have 4 teams to start.
Yeah.
It's like, we're not doing this.
No, exactly. But Nate, that's going to conclude the halftime show. That was a lot longer than I expected. But we'll get through these last 2 quarters as we always do in record time. Quarter 3, Nate, the ESPY Awards were hosted last night by Steph Curry. He made some hilarious jokes, man. I wonder who writes these jokes for these guys because I know for certain he wasn't.
Oh my God, not a shot. There's like a lot of
Kevin Hart must have been involved.
Yeah,
because they're good
Kevin
buddies.
Hart definitely would be involved. They usually just have writers anyway, like even for the roasts and stuff.
Yes,
there's a lot of like some comedians won't even write their stuff for that. I mean, like when they did the Bieber roast, like Bieber's was absolutely gold.
Yeah,
it's like, did you mix that up last night, Justin?
Yeah.
There's no shot. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see who did. I bet you're probably right though. Kevin Hart probably had a good influence on it. I would bet.
Yeah, no, it was a good show, and obviously a lot of A-list celebrities in town for the ESPYs. Our girl Olivia Dunn looking absolutely stunning. But just some notable awards: Best MMA fighter Charles Oliveira, Best NFL player Aaron Rodgers, which I think is a complete joke.
Yeah.
You just had the Rams win the Super Bowl. Cooper Kupp won the Super Bowl MVP. This guy was insane. Aaron Donald on defense was insane. Give it to one of those 2 guys who won a ring.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, these award shows are just
exactly.
like, they pop up, and I never have any idea. You got when they're happening. You got the Grammys, you got the Oscars, you got the ESPYs. It's like
the Met Gala.
Yeah, the Met Gala. You got the Victoria's Secret fashion show.
That's one that I've got circled every year, though.
Yeah. When is it?
I'm actually not certain.
It's cold out. I know that.
Yeah.
Maybe December. Might be in December.
That's right.
But either way, that is one to circle.
Yeah. But no, it's December 13th this year.
Yeah.
No, Steph Curry, best NBA player. Best game was the Chiefs-Bills. No real surprise there. That was such an insane game in the NFC Championship. Women Athlete of the Year, Katie Ledecky.
Yeah.
And
shout out.
I should say female athlete of the year, women athlete, anyway, and male athlete of the year, Sohei Ohtani, also the MLB player of the year. So no real surprises there, but just for Aaron Rodgers, for me, it was a little insane. Like his offseason, obviously was crying all offseason, was going to stay in Green Bay, and then, I mean, he had a good season, but
I had a lot going on through the year.
Yes, man.
To be the just unanimous MVP here at the ESPYs. The ESPYs.
Absolutely electric, but that was fun last night, Nate. That's going to conclude quarter 3. Just a quick quarter there. Was running the time. NFL and NBA, quarter 4. Just some NFL talk here, Nate. So the 49ers have granted Jimmy Garoppolo permission to seek a trade. This is a guy who gets dubs. He's just really not that clutch in the postseason. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, a lot of teams, it would be an upgrade for a lot of teams, but he also carries a huge contract of I think it's $26 million a season.
Well, I mean, if we're going to continue on like Cleveland said, and this is probably the most realistic option, wouldn't you think?
Definitely.
So
definitely. Jimmy G in Cleveland.
Jimmy Garopp.
Jimmy GQ. This guy is a good-looking guy, man. He was plowing porn stars.
Was he?
Oh, I think so.
Oh my.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Modern day Travis Kelce.
Yes, that's those boys in the NFL get it done.
Yeah. There's no kidding there.
Bucks signed Kyle Rudolph, and that is signs that Gronk is not going to be making a return anytime soon. So they've signed tight end Kyle Rudolph to join O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate there in the tight end room in Tampa Bay. And Watson and the NFLPA are going to, I guess, a year suspension is rumored, Nate, from the NFL. So they're going to challenge that full season suspension.
A little appeal action.
A little appeal, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not sure how far he could get it down.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to get a full season suspension, it might even be tough to even appeal at all.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a guy that deserves to sit out a year. I mean, you just paid off 30 masseuses.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
30!
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
I mean,
it's almost 2 per suspended game.
Yeah. Gosh. Anyway, moving into the NBA in quarter four, DeAndre Ayton. That was an interesting situation. So the Pacers, right, was the one who matched or offer sheeted him.
Yeah.
Offer
To my
sheeted.
understanding, they were throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
As recently as the end of last season.
Well, yeah. As soon as they shipped Sabonis off to Sacramento, I was like, okay, well, these guys aren't looking. And I mean, they got Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton, but yeah, I mean, who knows? Anyway, but they're not looking good, but the Suns end up getting them back. Match the offer sheet. DeAndre Ayton staying with the Suns. That's good for them, man. He's a young stud who plays he's a gigantic human being. So,
what was it? It was the biggest offer sheet in NBA history. And what they had 48 hours to match it, and by God, I think it took him upwards of 15 minutes.
Yeah,
that was the quickest match I've ever seen.
Yeah,
you know, it was absolute. He was just. No time to pack the bags.
No.
He wasn't going anywhere.
No, he was staying with the Suns. James Harden signs a 2-year, $68.6 million deal, and that's going to give Philadelphia a little breathing room to maybe acquire someone to help out with him and Joel Embiid. The Lakers and Pacers are discussing a potential Buddy Hield deal. So we'll see what happens there. And Miles Bridges, guard for the Charlotte Hornets. I wonder if he's a small forward, but three counts of domestic violence, so he will not be playing, I doubt, come day one of the NBA season.
I would not think. I just wanted to touch on DeAndre Ayton again.
Sure.
Are you aware of what the RFA thing is on offer sheets, like what Phoenix would have got in return?
I'm not sure what the compensation would be.
I would assume it must be absolutely asinine.
First round pick?
Yeah, maybe.
Because he was first overall, I do believe.
DeAndre Ayton?
Yeah.
Well, it goes generally by how much money is offered. And it goes up.
Okay.
So I know in the NHL, it's like once you get over like 10 million, it's like it might be 4 first round picks. Okay. Honestly, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So it
would have been a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know what it would have been, but
that's record time as always, Nate. That's going to conclude quarter four. A little bit of NFL, a little bit of NBA news. Fire wagon and dog water of the week. My fire wagon might be the same as yours. Cam Smith.
Yes, well, it is.
Cam Smith, man. This guy is such an absolute weapon, man. We talked about it on the Live on the Line, or you did, Nate. I mean, winning the Players' Championship, Century Tournament of Champions. I mean, now he's won, which is in Hawaii. Now he's won the Open. He's got his first major. I mean, this guy's not slowing down anytime soon. I mean, when he gets his putter hot, probably the best player in the world.
He's unbelievable. What is it? I was saying on Live on the Line, 1.6 strokes per hole, or putts per hole, which is just absolutely crazy if you think about it. Does he get exemption to every major with the one win?
Yep, with winning the Open, I do believe he's exempt in every major until 2027.
Okay.
But a guy like Cam Smith doesn't really mean that much because over the next 5 years, he's going to win events and place well enough in events and do well enough to place himself in those majors anyways.
I was just thinking for like if he goes to the Live Tour though.
Oh yes, exactly.
Set. So you know
the amount of money over there. And anyways, it's insane.
I don't even know where it's coming from. Well, I guess I do, but
yeah. It's not great. Dog water of the week for me, Nate. This is an interesting one. I was kind of weighing out the ins and outs of the dog water, but I'm going with Matthew Tkachuk.
Okay.
And I know it's a smart move business-wise, but this is a guy you're probably going to be the captain of the team in a Canadian market. And I think just overall, it's just going to set the tone for American-born players moving forward that Canada's not the place to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, this guy had he was obviously in the running. He was going to be the captain of this team. It was inevitable.
But the days of the legendary one team,
no one really cares about that.
Nobody cares about legacy anymore.
Like that's why we're gonna move into my dog water. It's Johnny Gaudreau, super quick. But like that's another one. Like you know what I mean. You went to Columbus. Like this guy was getting his number retired. You know he was a Calgary Flame legend. Forever. You know, he could have gone down as potentially, he would have been top 5 greatest Flames of all time.
Yep.
And now he's just kind of parted off. He's gone to absolute no man's land. And what is the game plan in Columbus? Also, I'll throw New Jersey in there too. Why did you not grab this guy?
Yeah.
He obviously had a shot for it. I just don't not get this, but
it's two super unique hockey players as well. Very unique brands of hockey that these two bring to the table. Anyway, shitty week for Calgary Flames fans.
For sure.
All right, folks. Make sure you go subscribe to the YouTube. Make sure you're following along on all the social media platforms. Make sure you give this episode a rating. We need you guys to rate it 5 stars. Go leave us a comment, and we'll be back on Friday.
Yes, we will.
No, we'll be back on Monday.
Oh, yes, we will be back on Monday. Yeah.
I lose track of days every day when we're recording.
It also feels like maybe that short episode was like a Friday or something. I don't know. It seems like it's been a minute.
That was a whirlwind of a few days for me, man. I was hung.
Yeah. So, anyway, we'll be back on Monday, ladies and gentlemen.
Have a good week. Weekend.